Random clickbait. Police, an introduction.
Written and directed by John Landis Davis.
The word police is rooted in the Greek word politia. Plato's text politia is translated as republic, and hints at the word's broad meaning. Rome Latinized the word to politia.
A medieval variant of the Latin word politia became the foundation of the French word police and was adopted by 16th century English speakers.
Olson, 2004, defines race as, and quote, a set of relations within a network of power that organizes people into particular groups and or roles for the purposes of governing the polity, end quote. The latter term, polity, shares a lineage with police and policing.
In 1530, the polity of Caribbean Isles consisted of enslaved peoples policed by the Spanish
Hermandad.
The Hermandad ranks were filled by volunteers of the local Spanish militia and is considered the first police of the Americas.
In 1661, the first slave code, the Act for the Better Ordering and Governing of Negroes, was enacted in the British Barbados and placed the power to police in the hands of all white members of the population, and give discretionary use of lethal force to deter and prevent slave uprising and escapes. Statute Law of Scotland, 1757, contained a police category which detailed the laws that governed civil and commercial activity. Legarre, 2007. Contained within were regulations that concerned the height of ladders and times one could be in a tavern, none after 9.
These statutes show policing to be perpetually busy with detail and exerting its power over things that recur every day. Montesquieu, 1748. Neocleous, 2020.
Marquis d'Argenson, 1764, a French police lieutenant said the police function is to, end quote, penetrate the underground channels into the interior of families and uncover their secrets, and to be present everywhere without being seen, end quote.
The Metropolitan Police Act of 1829 allowed Sir Robert Peel to establish the London Metropolitan Police Department. Affectionately known as Bobbies after Sir Robert Peel's nickname, the Metro Police and Scotland Yard remain icons of law enforcement to this day.
You're a college man. She'd like to have seen you land a job with a little more status attached. Is that it? I guess that's part of it, but not all of it. I think maybe I can understand how she feels. You throw a party and that badge gets in the way. You're a cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news. They call you everything, but never a policeman.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Terry v. Ohio, 1968, that law enforcement could frisk individuals without consent or a warrant to check for weapons if A. They have reasonable suspicion the individual has, is, or is about to commit a crime, and B. They have reasonable belief the individual is presently armed and dangerous.
In the city of Memphis on October 3, 1974, at roughly 11 p.m. Memphis police officers Hyman and Wright responded to a report of a burglary in progress. The suspect, Edward Garner, a tall 15-year-old local black kid, ran and attempted to flee by jumping over a chain-link fence. Officer Hyman spotted him and quickly drew his weapon and shot. The bullet hit Garner in the back of his head. He would die soon after in hospital.
Officer Hyman acted according to and within the laws of the state which allowed, end quote. If after notice of the intention to arrest the defendant, he either flee or forcibly resist, the officer may use all the necessary means to effect the arrest, end quote.
In Tennessee v. Garner, 1985, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled the 14th Amendment prevented police the use of deadly force on unarmed fleeing suspects.
Prosperous people in contemporary America share the belief that crime is controlled by their local and state police department, staffed by vigilant patrolmen and detectives, who regularly capture criminals and turn them over to the district attorney for prosecution.
But that isn't accurate.
Bauman, 2021, states two widely believed myths distort public perception of the police. The first is the belief that police primary function is to solve crimes. The second is that they actually solve them.
See, what's it been? June? July?
Yeah, about that.
Listen, I got a new shipment of cigs in here. You need to buy yourself one of these. That's the best doggone handgun made.
I've got one, Lamar. What I need is some information.
Well, you know me, Walker. I'll help you if I can.
Where would a guy go to get some C4?
I don't know if I can help you with that. That stuff's illegal.
So's upgrading semi-automatics to automatics, Lamar.
Why are you doing this to me? Kind of information you're asking can get a man hurt permanent.
It'll be just between you and me.
Okay. There's one guy I know about.
Clearance rates are, end quote, the percentage of crimes reported to police that result in arrest and are turned over for prosecution, end quote, Bauman, 2021. For major crimes, only murders have a clearance rate greater than 50%, with 60% of murder investigations finding evidence enough to prosecute. Other major crimes, such as robberies and intimate and violent assaults, have clearance rates of 20% in United States, a number which has remained consistent for the past 30 years.
Only about half of serious crimes are reported to police. Murders become extremely difficult to solve when the community is unwilling to reveal and clarify relationship the victim might have to the killer, and help create the necessary link between the two.
A self-report survey of police officers of several cities found they only spend 4% of their time working on violent crimes. The majority of their time was spent on either non-criminal calls, 37%, or traffic-related issues, 15%. Bauman, 2021.
I'm gonna go ahead and do a traffic stop on this guy right here. He's not using his right turn signal. Go ahead and blue light him, see what he has to say. Bravo 73 Palm Beach 1050. Fifth Avenue, white 4-door caddy. Just turn around right there where you at. No. Listen to me. Okay, you understand me? Listen to me. Do what I say when I tell you to do it, okay? Okay, you understand me? You feel me? You do what I ask you, we'll move along. All right? That's all you gotta do.
73.
Got
94-door caddy waiting, calling.
Okay, go ahead and send a 94 phone.
Neocleous, 2020, argues police militarization has existed from its inception, citing A.E. Costello Tess, 1885, description of the police as an army for domestic order and their historical use of the weapons of war. This use can be traced to the 1930s and the Parisian police's use of chemical weapons to subdue unruly protesters in their nation's capital. A tactic seen throughout the police's existence and employed when needed, and is seen continued in contemporary demonstrations in all nations of the world.
The maintained militarization of police theory and tactics can be seen in the names of law enforcement's goals and policies, such as their wars against drugs, immigrants, and crime.
Former head of the LAPD, Daryl Gates, said, and quote, "Identifying the enemy makes us uncomfortable because they happen to be a great many of us," end quote. In a similar division of us versus them, CNN, in a FIOA request, found the National Guard sent to Ferguson, Missouri were instructed to treat protesters as, end quote, enemy combatants, end quote.
In Atwater vs. City of Largo Vista, 2001, the Supreme Court ruled it lawful for the police to arrest an individual for offenses whose maximum penalty is a fine. This means that you can be taken to jail for speeding or, in this case, failing to wear a seatbelt.
Arrests for misdemeanor offenses and traffic law infractions are not required or mandatory. And for the most part, they remain uncommon.
Arrests such as these, and stop and frisks, and quote, Terry stops and quote, remain a tool available for use at the discretion of police in America. A discretion the court has both feared and allowed. And one which should be respected by all those who want to avoid jail.
Okay, you understand me? You feel me? Alright? Things go much smoother. You do what I say.
Random clickbait.